Hello and welcome to episode 77 of Fergo and the Freak. I'm that bloke from Rugby League Project, Andrew Ferguson. You can find me on Twitter at AndrewRP. And joining me as always is the glorious League Freak. You can find on Twitter at League Freak. How you doing there, mate?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm slowly getting better.
That's good. You weren't too well earlier in the day. You sound a lot better now, though.
Yeah, I was dripping like the proverbial tap, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it happens.
It happens. I was expecting you to say something else then.
I tried not to. I'm trying to clean up my act.
Yeah, I know. We're doing a good job here.
Yeah.
This is going to test us, though. So tonight we've had the judiciary. They've had a big night, so they're listening to the cases for Kane Evans, Hudson Young, and Jared Waerea-Hargreaves over their hits over the weekend and other actions. So Jared Waerea-Hargreaves was the first one up in front of the judge and jury, but he's been cleared. So they've pretty much judged that because the player was falling as he went into the tackle and he's had his arms down, I think they pretty much ruled that was the accident that it appeared to be.
Yeah, and I think that's the correct call as well. I mean, his arm was down by his side. The player's head fell down into his arm as he was falling towards the ground anyway. And, like outside of disappearing completely, there's nothing really he could have done, aside from not being there. So I thought that was the correct decision. And I've seen some people piss and moan about it, but, like, what would a suspension have done in that instance? It wouldn't have taught him a lesson. It was completely unavoidable from his point of view. It wasn't reckless. It wasn't careless or anything. He was literally just in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I thought that was the right decision, that one.
Absolutely. See, if we look at it in all honesty, the majority of the impact was when Liam Knight's head hit the other Roosters player in the head, and then when he banged his head on the ground, because the cut on his head came from the other side that Waerea-Hargreaves didn't hit.
Yeah, definitely. And like when I saw it in real speed, I was like, oh man, he's been absolutely smacked here. But then when you saw it in slow motion and you realise that no, it was actually the head clash and hitting the ground that did the majority of the. I mean, I think by the time he hit Waerea-Hargreaves' head, he was just about gone. He was just about gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just I'm happy that the judiciary looked at it, but at the same time, I think they made the right decision that he had no case to answer.
Absolutely agree. Moving on to the next case. This is the more hotly contested one, and it was Hudson Young, who came in before the judiciary for the second time this year, charged with eye gouging.
Mm-hmm.
Hudson Young said that he felt his fingers on Adam Pompey's head and tried to rip it out, tried to rip his hand out as fast as he could.
Yeah.
Does
he mention how he had his hand there and he pulled it out, but then he put his hand back down there and pulled it out harder? Like, did he mention that at all?
No. So it was like, I accidentally had it on his hand. I accidentally put it in there again just to make sure it was an accident, and then I took it back out again as fast as I could. Maybe that was his defense.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell, man?
Yeah. That's like saying, I just need to check that the gun was empty. So I pulled the trigger a few times and it accidentally shot someone.
I tell you what.
Sure, I didn't like that person I shot.
Yeah.
And it was quite fortunate that they were in the room at the same time. I had a gun in my hand.
I didn't
mean to shoot him though.
I was worried about them, so I had to check that the gun was loaded. So I pulled the trigger. Turned out it was loaded. And let me say, if that's the way he runs his hands over everything, man, he must be vicious when he wipes his own ass.
Yeah, it might explain.
Why he's so angry.
Might do, yes.
I'm trying to clean up my act here, Andrew.
Yeah, let's move on. So Ricky Stewart's come out after this, and Ricky's pissed off.
Yeah,
he's really pissed off.
I've actually got
You do.
A sound bite from him, yeah. It's
So,
It's directly from the judiciary too. So
I'll mention some of his quotes, and
okay,
then you get the direct quote at the end there, okay?
okay.
Okay, so Stewart was furious with rugby league commentators, primarily NRL 360's Ben Ikin, who he claimed had sarcastically questioned his integrity and attacked his character. So, Stewart said, "I'm confused with some of the characters that our broadcasters employ who have viciously attacked Hudson Young. They have forgotten their past very quickly." Stewart then took aim at ex-Bears, Brisbane and Gold Coast player Ben Ikin, who remarked that Ricky Stewart's said it's not an eye gouge. "I copped the judiciary verdict but don't agree with it," said Stewart, "and I don't appreciate Ben Ikin on Fox Sports sarcastically questioning my integrity, saying in a jovial manner that Ricky Stewart believes that Hudson Young didn't eye gouge Pompey. I would not support Hudson if I thought he eye gouged Pompey. Ben Ikin needs to do his research as a journalist, something he is lacking in remembering that the last time Hudson had this issue, as in eye gouging, I showed no remorse, nor did I support his actions. I'm an honest bloke, and Ikin tried to play the coach looking after his player card, which I believe from his so-called standing in the game is unprofessional in attacking my character."
Okay. Well, here's some more that Ricky Stewart had to say.
Yes, please go.
Like, just shut up, Ricky. I mean, what's viciously sarcastic? Like, was Ben Ikin on NRL 360 going, of course, Ricky, of course, you're not looking after your player. Oh, duh. Like, what's viciously sarcastic?
Yeah, furthermore, I don't think anyone on the panel, and I've watched an awful lot of Paul Kent's first grade career.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone on that panel, including Paul Kent, has ever engaged in eye gouging on the field in first grade.
No, that's true. Like, and Ben Ikin's pretty subdued for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, Ricky
I call
Stewart
him laid back more than sarcastic.
Yeah. You know what Ricky Stewart needs to do? He needs to get this young bloke and put him in friggin' boxing gloves whenever he plays the game. Just so in case his hands just happen to be around someone's eyes, which has happened twice this year, he doesn't hook his fingers involuntarily because they're strapped up like he's bloody Captain Hook, apparently, you know, and go back in for seconds. Yeah. It's not a Black Forest cake, Hudson.
This is exactly right. Now, furthermore, there is never, ever any need for any player to have their hand around a player's face at any time in any game. Let alone putting your hand in there for a second crack like that. Okay, I can forgive him almost for the first one because the player was falling forward, he'd gone high in the tackle, his hand could have just slipped across his face. Fair enough, but you put your hand back in a second time, and you had that hooked motion with your hand, and you ripped that fucker up.
Yeah,
that looked horrible.
Yeah, and he's been found guilty of it twice now.
Yes,
in the one season. It's like, you know, and that's it. I mean, reputation locked in. All the other players will know it, and he needs to get that shit out of his game. And I mean, how many weeks did he get for this?
Well, we'll get to that in a sec because he actually got. Warriors winner Adam Pompey, the victim of the attempt, came in to be part of the defence.
Mm.
So he said, "No, I didn't feel any gouging. I didn't feel any fingers around my eyes. There was none of that." And that's all fair. That's lucky on his behalf. That's all fine. But it doesn't excuse the fact that it looked very much like a blatant attempt to gouge eyes. Just because it wasn't successful doesn't take away the severity of the action. It just means some bloke on the receiving end still has his eyesight.
Yeah. Well, luckily.
Yeah. And this is the problem I have with suspending based on the severity of an injury caused by the action. It should never be about that. It should be about you get suspended based on how intentional it was and how severely or graphically intentional it was. And I'd also add an extra degree on there for how stupid it is. because I am massive on suspending players heavily for being stupid.
And we've talked about this recently, in that the swinging arms and stuff basically don't exist anymore. But the suspensions that are left over for grubby acts are just not harsh enough, and they need to be smashed for it.
They do, because this grubby shit has no place in the game whatsoever.
No.
So anyway, the NRL said that when they're deliberating, they were looking at somewhere between 10 and 12 weeks. Young's defence was thinking somewhere between 5 and 6. Looks like they come to a compromise because he was found guilty of dangerous contact and was suspended for 8 games.
It's not good enough. 8 games, it's just not good enough. I liked, you said 12 months, especially considering that it was only a few months ago that he was convicted of doing a similar thing to Aidan Tolman.
Yep.
Yeah, 12 months. I'd be happy with him not playing for 12 months.
And I want to make sure that people are clear that this is not bias. I believe from the get-go too that Josh Maguire should have also copped the same length suspension for his 2 attempts this year.
Yeah.
Furthermore, the more graphic, and the most graphic of all of them, was that one by George Burgess on Robbie Farah. That should have also copped the same length. We can't go being light on eye gouging. It's fucking horrific.
Yeah. And there's no place for any sort of leniency. No. These players, when they're in these positions that it happens to them, their faces are completely vulnerable. And just, if they started handing out 12-month suspensions, man, it would stop immediately.
Exactly. I mean, what if any of these 3 players had have actually done so much severe damage to this person's eye that it dislodged the friggin' eyeball or punctured it or whatever else and completely blinded that person in one eye? What would the suspension be then?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Would you say that the suspension would then fit the crime? Like some person loses their vision in one eye and has to retire from playing the game. Is a 12-month suspension then big enough for that? Of course it's not. But this is why you can't go around suspending based on the severity of the injury.
Mm-hmm.
Some injuries, some tackles will lead to some players' careers being ended. You can't end a player's career with a suspension. Does McLean deserve to be suspended for life because he put McKinnon out of the game for life? No.
Yeah, I agree with that. Have you ever seen that basketball player whose eye come out of the eye socket during a game?
No.
I think it might have been in the NBL, hey?
Correct.
And, his eye come out. I think he got a poke in the eye, and his eye come out of the eye socket. It wasn't pretty.
Well, no, it wouldn't be. But yeah, we can't be sitting there going easy on this stuff. Not in the slightest. And eye gouging it should be minimum double-digit week suspension.
Definitely, 100%.
Yeah, if you're attempting an eye gouge, then you should be looking at a bare minimum 10-week suspension, and we just go from there based on severity. And the other thing I'd be suggesting too is for grubby stuff like that, you get suspended without pay. Because it's too easy for these players to go on the sideline and just go, oh, well, I don't have to play for 10 weeks, but at least I'm still making a few grand a week. It's all, it's not that bad, I guess. I still train and everything else. But, it sure would be great to be on the field. It's a bit of a bummer, but, take the money off them.
I tell you what, that'd definitely stop it.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. The purpose of punishments is to serve as both a punishment and as a deterrent. And at the moment, all they're doing is a punishment.
Yeah, that's true. And it's
five eye gouging attempts this year. It's wrong. It's ridiculous. Get harder on it.
Yeah, and I don't think it's any coincidence that these bans are not long enough, and that we're seeing it happen more and more. And it's something that's been out of the game for a very long time. I mean, how many eye gouging incidents do we see in a decade normally? Like a handful. We've seen that many this year, handful.
It's atrocious.
What did you think of Sam Burgess's suspension for pulling hair?
I fully agree with it. And yeah,
So
I'll tell you why too. Because it's fucking stupid.
Yep.
And this is what I was saying before. Players should get suspended for doing absolutely stupid things on the field.
Mm-hmm.
That hair pulling stuff, I don't care how menial and how pointless it is and how dumb it looks. The fact is, it's dumb. It is so ridiculously stupid. And the fact is, he's a repeat offender of that several times. They've got a good system in place for this grubby little stuff like this. And he keeps breaking it. It's practically a system designed to protect him, and he still broke it. He is so stupid. He deserves more than a week just for being so damn stupid.
Yep, I agree. And like he's had some problems this year because he's had injury, and then he comes back and he gets suspended, and he's doing all this other stuff, and it's like, man, you got to be smarter when you play the game. And I always think that when there's a suspension for something that you see on the field, and you're like, what the hell was he even thinking? It's like when James Roberts punched Corey Oates or hit Corey Oates in the back of the head while he's face down on the ground. It's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, that's just dopey behaviour.
Yeah.
And that stuff you should just come down on that heavily. You're just saying, look, the game's tough enough as it is already. You don't need to be more on top of it. Grow up.
Yep. 100%. I agree with you.
So, yeah, I've got no issue with that. I've seen everybody blowing up about it. Oh, he shouldn't get a week just for pulling someone's hair. No, fuck that. He should get 2 weeks just for being that damn stupid.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about how much of a bloody superstar he is and how much the game needs him. You know, the game doesn't need that bullshit in it.
Exactly.
You can take that crap and go to the freaking playground with all the other 4-year-olds who do that shit. It's a professional sport, for fuck's sake, Sam. Grow up.
Exactly.
Take 2 weeks to go and have a look at yourself. Anyway.
You get fired up about all these suspensions. It's great.
I am, yeah. At the moment, right now as we speak, Kane Evans is before the judiciary.
Mm-hmm.
Some bad news for Kane Evans in this one is that his hit is currently being compared to one by Jared Waerea-Hargreaves from last year and one by Matt Lodge. Wow, there's some company.
Yeah, it's like when they bring up the defences and when your defence team brings up something and you just slink into your chair and put your head in your hands and you're like, oh, man. Damn it.
You just look at that and go, JWH and then Matt Lodge going, okay, so I'm getting at least 3 or 4 weeks here.
Yeah. Oh, man. And that was a bad hit he put on and he deserves a few weeks for that one.
Yeah, that poor kid got freaking clocked. He got hit hard.
Yeah, out.
I wouldn't be surprised if Evans misses this entire final series.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked by that either. Or hopefully they should come out with a decision by the time we finish the podcast, so we can have a talk about that once that comes down.
We can. Now, we do have a admission of wrong to make. In the last episode, we did say that there was... We said that the Super League was running under a Super 8 format. And someone's corrected us and saying no. Prior to this year, they were using a top 8, top 4. And this year, they're using a top 5. Okay, I will concede that this year it is a top 5. I got that wrong. I put my hand up. I got that wrong. That's all my fault. Now,
yeah, Andrew.
The previous years,
next time, Andrew.
Yeah, well, I'll try to. Now, the previous years, I'm not going to concede that that's a top 4 though, because they had that stupid 8 system.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call it super because it was anything but. It was stupid. And I think any system whereby you cannot put down who's going to be playing who at the start of the year, that is not part of the regular season. That's part of the final system.
Exactly.
If you've got to wait for the regular season to finish before you know who's playing in the next lot of games, that's part of the final system. So that Super 8s was to determine the top 4. So as far as I'm concerned, they're all playoffs. That's top 8. I'm sticking with that. I don't care.
And that was we were sent that message by Eric on Twitter. So thanks for sending that message in, Eric. And he's Name is Cheshire Blue CW2. So,
Yes.
yeah. So that was good to get that and get that out the way. And, yeah, sometimes you make mistakes. We all do. I made that mistake of talking about them as a top 8 too. So it happens.
Yeah, I'll always put my hand up and admit my mistakes. There's nothing to gain from trying to argue your way out of it.
No, that's true.
Except for stupid 8s. That was finals.
Yeah, that system was it was so utterly ridiculous. And I remember when they brought it in, and I was like, what the hell is this? I actually had people that were messaging me saying, you got to look at this, you got to look at this. And I was like, what? It took me so long to understand what they would do. And yeah, I'm so glad they got rid of that crap. It was so stupid.
Yeah. I got shown by Sean, who created the Rugby League Project website, a video. He said, check out this. This is them explaining how the new finals format will work in the Super League next year.
Mm.
And when I opened up the link to the YouTube video that showed it all, from memory, the video went for about 4 minutes. And I went, any final system that needs to be explained over the course of 4 minutes sounds like dog shit already.
Yeah.
And I sat through it, and the whole time I was listening going, why is this in effect? How does this help? It's like, what's the point of playing 25 rounds beforehand if you've got to play another 7 games on top of that before you play the final 3 games to determine who's going to be the grand finalist? And I hated it more because then we had to try and work out a way of making it work on the website, which is just painful.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And while I'm happy that it's gone, because it's easy to manage on the website, I'm also pissed off because for 3 or 4 years, we've now got this weird, stupid system in place that it's just hard to explain and hard to put on there. So, you idiot Super League.
Yeah, definitely.
But also thank you.
Oh, man. Some Super League news.
Oh, you got some Super League news.
St. Helens, they have confirmed that Tongan coach Christian Wolf, who's been coaching the Newcastle Knights for the last couple of weeks, he's now their head coach for next season. So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes over in Super League. Obviously, coaching St. Helens, he'll do all right. He'll have to win over the fans. They probably are going to want to see some attacking football out of him. But chances are there'll be, because Warrington rents space for free in their heads, probably going to lose the grand final to Warrington. So he'll be going into a club that's got, one last step to make.
They've got a bit of a record of being chokers, haven't they, Saints?
Oh, yeah, definitely. They love getting to a grand final, get to a big occasion, and then just choking hard. What is it with Saints teams that choke?
I don't know. It's remarkable.
The Dragons choke as good as anyone in world sport.
Yeah. Just trying to see how many grand finals has St. Helens been in. How many have they won in recent times? Let's see. They won in 2002, and then they finished 4th, and they finished 5th. Then they lost the finals eliminator. Then they won in 2006. Then they were runners-up in 2007, runners-up in 2008, runners-up in 2009, runners-up in 2010, runners-up in 2011, qualifying semi in 2012, preliminary in 2013, premiers in 2014. Oh, they finally got a win. 2015 semi-final, 2016 semi-final, 2017 semi-final, 2018 minor premiers and bowed out in the semi-final. Yeah, they've got a pretty good record of choking.
Yeah. James Graham has been a runner-up in so many grand finals, hey?
He has, the poor bastard.
Oh, man. And there was some, speaking of Poveras, there was some news today that shocked me, and that's that Manly have called up Tony T-Rex Williams into their 21-man squad for the finals game against the Sharks. Like, how desperate are you if you're calling up Tony Williams?
I think Parramatta should counter this.
Yeah.
And they should name Dave Taylor as their 21st man.
Well, Manly had to apply for an exemption to get him into the side, and I tweeted today that the Sharks also applied for an exemption to get Tony Williams into the Manly Sea Eagles side because
That's exactly
he's
right.
he's such a bludger of a player. Like, when
I
was the
reckon,
last time Tony Williams did something good on a rugby league field?
I reckon the Sharks probably sent a letter saying to the NRL going, don't worry about delivering at it. We fully approve.
Yeah.
We fully approve.
They think that it's going to be like some sort of, protest or something, and it's the Sharks say, please let this go through.
Yeah, we're good blokes. We're all about harmony. Make sure everyone's got a fair go. He's okay. You can let him play. It's fine by us. We're happy with that.
Seriously, like they just must. I don't understand why do it. I mean, sometimes coaches they have players that they've relied on in the past or that they trust and things like that, and they'll go back to them. But I wouldn't be doing it with Tony Williams.
Well, Des does like him though.
Yeah, it's a warning sign for Manly. If I was the Sea Eagles, and I don't know who else they've got at that club that does anything. I'm sure that Bob Fulton, they can get him back to do something. But, I'd be saying, listen, Des, we're not doing this.
Because as a Manly fan, given that Des loves him so much, that if Tony has even a semi-decent performance, you're locking him down at $500,000 a year for the next 4 years.
Yeah. He's in that side. Oh, man. I just can't believe it. I can't believe they haven't got somebody else there that can do that job.
They're pretty much all injured.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, what do you reckon? Manly are out this week, eh?
Well, what Manly should have done if that was smart is just said to Trent Barrett, look, we've paid for you for the year. How's about you just have one last run of Brookie?
Just pull on the socks.
Yeah.
Pull on your Steelers socks.
Yeah, we can let you have a run around the ground, do a few hit-ups, and we can have a big thank you party over at Family Hill.
Yep.
We'll pull out a rug out there for you. You can sit down with some of the fans who might be game enough to sit over there where the asbestos is. I mean, where the hill is.
It's the sandpit. It's a feature.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of those fine dust particles, you get it all in your hair and stuff. You get it deep in your lungs.
It's like glitter.
Yeah, exactly.
It sparkles in the sun.
There's nothing wrong with a bit. You know what? A bit of asbestos, put some hair on your chest.
Put some hair in your lungs too.
Yeah, exactly.
So I suppose on that news too, Manly's Brookvale Oval, which was found to have asbestos on it, has been passed okay by the NRL to host this weekend's finals match.
I've got a question for you. If I give you 2 free tickets to go to that game,
no,
sit on the hill,
no,
you wouldn't take them?
No.
I wouldn't take them either. Fuck that. Fucking asbestos, man.
If you had asked me that question 3 weeks ago,
yeah,
I still would have said no.
Oh, that's fair enough. I would have said no as well, because first of all, I like to have a nice, swivel chair. I'm normally up in the box calling games and stuff. I've got standards now. Walking around, saying hello to bloody Brett Kamali as he walks past, stuff like that. It's just how I roll at the footy these days.
Well, that's the thing. I'd go beyond standards. They're now demands, expectations.
Yeah. So the other thing I like is a coffee. I had a coffee for the first time at the footy. It was pretty good. Like, the coffee was, it's neither here nor there. But just having coffee. Damn,
did you have a lackey get it for you?
No, I had a very nice co-commentator go and get me the coffee.
So you do have a lackey?
No, he was a co-commentator. He was having a break, and they were like, "Man, do you want anything?" I was like, "I would kill for a coffee," but I said, "Don't let Daniel get it for me because he has tonsillitis. I don't want to die."
You said you would kill for a coffee. See, that's threatening behaviour.
Imagine if it turned out like I sat down and I said, last week when I asked for a coffee, how did it come across? And they said, you turned around all angry and said, I want a coffee. And
I'll kill you. Oh dear.
You
Well,
know how sometimes your perception of like instances is it's very wrong compared to what you remembered?
yes,
Yeah.
that could very well be one of those moments.
It's weird because it's always like completely different when you're with a chick and she says, "Oh, you said this, this, this," and it's like that's not how I remember it.
All I remember was saying yes.
Yeah, I don't remember sitting there in silence while you badgered me. Nah.
Anyways, um, just a bit of something lighthearted here. I,
Okay,
I
yep.
had I had a look at the Inside Sport magazine at the start of the year where I put down um, how I thought the NRL ladder would look at the end of the regular season.
Okay, yep.
I thought I might check out how I went compared to what actually happened.
Ooh, this will be good.
Now there's four teams that I
Mhm.
got woefully wrong,
Okay.
but the rest are kind of thereabouts. So I was a bit surprised. Anyway, yeah, I had the Roosters at first. They finished second.
Yep, that's fair enough.
I had South second. They finished third.
That's fair enough.
I had Penrith third. They finished 10th.
I think that's
Um,
defensible.
yeah, I had Brisbane fourth. They finished 8th.
Yes,
I
I
had
had Brisbane that high.
Melbourne fifth. They finished first.
I think
The
that's defensible too.
the Dragons at 6th. They finished 15th.
That's definitely defensible.
I picked Cronulla at 7th, and that's where they ended up.
That's great shot. You got it.
And I had Canberra at 8th, and they finished 4th.
Okay, I think that's defensible as well.
Now, in the bottom 8,
Hmm.
I don't know why, but I didn't have the West Tigers at 9th. I had the Bulldogs at 9th, and they finished
Yeah,
12th.
that's completely indefensible. I can't. That's
Yeah,
disgusting. You
I
should know better than that.
don't know what happened there. Had the Cowboys at 10th. They finished 14th.
That's not bad.
The Tigers at 11th. They finished 9th.
Hmm.
Had the Knights at hang on, 8, was it 9, 10, 11? Had the Knights at 12th, and they finished 11th.
Wow, that was close.
Manly at 13th. They finished 6th.
Wow. That was
Warriors
good.
Warriors at 14th. They finished 13th.
Yeah, that was good.
The Titans at 15th, and they finished 16th.
Yeah.
And Parramatta last, and they finished 5th.
That one was a little bit out, that one. But I
Yeah,
think for the most part, you can look at the ones that you're off with, and you can, like, I mean, Manly's had an unbelievable turnaround this season. Like, no one saw that coming. And
that's
Penrith
right.
was so disappointing. No one saw that coming. Um, so, yeah, most of them I think you can say. The only one really I think that you seem to be off with was Parramatta.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I think what I was looking at there, based on what I can recall, was that the teams that I've got a long way wrong, that's based on how they performed the previous year and knowing that they'd made very little changes to their rosters.
Hmm.
So I expected more of the same the following year because
Hmm.
Parramatta had made next to no changes to their roster other than bringing in really Blake Ferguson.
And I guess the thing is, too, you couldn't have realised that there was about to be this Clint Gutherson explosion of brilliance.
Wow.
Like, who could predict that? And I tell you what, when it happens, it'll be amazing.
That's true. I expected a little bit of bounce back from Manly, but not as much as what happened.
Yeah.
As you can see there, I wasn't on the bandwagon thinking Newcastle were going to be in the top 8, and I almost
Yep.
got that spot on. The Dragons, wow, they underachieved like nothing else.
Unbelievable. I think they probably underachieved way more than Penrith did, eh?
Definitely. And yeah, Penrith was the other one, which was I thought they'd do a bit better
Yeah. And they really should have.
because they're such a young squad. They should have been doing better than they did.
Yeah, it's
Now,
weird to think that, like, if you look at where the Panthers were, where you thought they'd be at the start of the year, and where they are now, and I mean, they've had a lot of changes to that team. It's kind of weird that it's all happened just in the space of one season, within one season.
yeah, So I wasn't too disappointed with that. I thought I did reasonably well considering
Mm.
that's all major league guesswork.
Yeah,
Um,
I wish I'd I don't have anything like that written down. I don't think I did any sort of guesswork on what the ladder would be. So unfortunately, I haven't got a list like that. I think it would have been out a little bit more. I probably would have overestimated, obviously, the Panthers and the Dragons. I think I would have definitely overestimated the Cowboys. Um, Outside of that, I wouldn't have expected the Storm to be minor premiers. I think I probably would have picked Penrith as minor premiers, hey?
and that's not too surprising given that many people had them penned for a grand final appearance this year.
Yeah. It's so
So
disappointing.
it is. Yeah, Kane Evans has been unsuccessful in having his careless high tackle downgraded and will be suspended for Sunday for Parramatta's elimination final against Brisbane. They're now deciding how long he'll be suspended for.
Okay. How long do you reckon he'll get?
I'll probably say 3 weeks.
I'm gonna say 5.
5.
Yeah. It's just a guess.
Will be interesting.
Yeah, it will be. I think the thing that, I mean, it was a bad one. He knocked him out. So,
Oh yeah, he was gone cold.
yeah, poor bugger.
Any other news? Have we had any emails?
No, we've had no emails, hey.
No emails to podcast@leaguefreak.com.
No, none at all. I
Come
mean,
on,
our
people.
listeners are very interactive on Twitter. But yeah, they not so interactive with the old email address.
Any letters?
Imagine if there was, that'd be creepy.
It will be, given we haven't given out an address.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what else we can do here. I think we've pretty much wrapped it up. Is there anything else you want to? Is there anything else we need to discuss?
No, I think it's been a good episode. It's a bit of a late night one. It's a little bit off of our normal schedule, but we wanted to make sure that people woke up on Wednesday morning and they had something that they could, get in their ears, get our voices pumping into their heads. And I think that we've done a good job at making sure that happened.
Well, that's true. I will say a few more things just quickly. James Tedesco won back-to-back Brad Fittler medals tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And we have decided that we might start doing a few reviews / commentaries of past grand finals in future episodes.
Yes. It's going to be good fun. Unlike going back, because the NRL website, if you've got NRL TV, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
They have all the grand finals from last year's going all the way back to 1966. So what we might do is just go one by one from 1966 onwards. That'd be pretty cool. Talk about how the styles of play, the players that are on the field, some of the stuff that's going on in the field. I mean, we were watching one earlier today. And man, some of the stuff, I mean, at one point, Postman Pat comes out and he does some work on a player who was writhing in pain. I basically told him, get up and get back in the team. And then he folds up his little doctor's bag and walks off like he'd actually done something. It's pretty funny.
Yes, his little box just had an assortment of sponges in it.
Yeah.
That was it.
It's very, it's weird. One of the things I like from watching those videos is seeing Sydney in the background. And it's so interesting when you look at a game now that it's all like, it's all glitz and glamour and all around the stadium's all done up. Whereas back then at the SCG, I mean, it was just an industrial backdrop, really.
Pretty much, yeah.
So different.
That's true. Even the funny thing for me is that the SCG looks virtually unchanged for a lot of the games.
Yeah, and the thing too is that, like, it wasn't that long ago that it was pretty bare bones, the SCG.
Yeah.
Because you kind of think of it as being, I mean, obviously it's the SCG, it's where Bradman played, it's where all these great sporting moments have happened, and you kind of think that there were decent stands and stuff back then, but no, there weren't. It was not much to it.
Yeah, it was a little bit shady.
Yeah, it was very strange, but it is wonderful to see some of the older players and some of the things that occur in games. So that's going to be good fun going through those games one by one. And we obviously won't commentate them, but we'll just have a chat about what's going on, what we're noticing. And man, there was some of the, the scrums, the good old days.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of mentions about the good old days.
Yeah.
We can't confirm whether it'll be sarcastic or not, but there will be plenty of mention about the good old days.
Or we can promise that they'll be good and they'll be old, and they're all days, no nights, just the days.
Yeah, it'll be very old.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that we might start tinkering with during this next month and a half, but mostly over the off season, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think so. It'll be something that people can, when they need their rugby league fix, they can jump on, listen to us talking about what we think about different players that are running out there and how they'd go in today's game, how today's players would go back then, maybe how the rules are different and all sorts of cool stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it'll be a good little stroll down memory lane, I guess, for some of those episodes. So that'll be pretty cool. So that's coming up in the future. Still working on some other episodes once I'm a little bit more healthy, which are going to be 2 brilliant history pieces that we're going to get together very shortly too. So that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And we haven't done a live show for a few weeks. Feels
yeah,
like
mate.
it.
Well, yeah, when I'm trying to think, all of the finals games are on this week. What would be one that we could do?
Should we get the one from Asbestos Land?
Yeah, I could probably watch that. What day is that on? Is that
Saturday night?
Okay, Saturday night. Yeah, because I mean, I think Manly will be going out, and I think Sharks. I mean, please.
Ooh, it'll be the only game I think. Actually, it's on. When is it? Yeah, it's on at 10 to 8 on Saturday night. It's the only game where the team highest rank on the ladder is actually at the biggest risk of losing.
Yeah.
Due to the injury toll and suspensions and whatnot. So, and be it known, this will be the first time this year that the Sharks will be almost 100% available. They'll have one player out due to suspension. And that'll be their winger, Raymond. Was it
Ronaldo
Mulatalo. I think he copped a 1-week suspension this week. So, other than that, everyone's fit and healthy and available, which I think is a first for the Sharks this year.
Is this the first game in rugby league history that we can say this game? Cancer. If you sit in the wrong place, it's pure cancer.
Well, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Excellent.
So it is a genuine, literal danger game.
It really is. Yeah. This is a danger game for both teams and spectators and officials.
Everyone's in danger.
But it's at least it's not windy or anything, because that would make it worse. Oh, wait a minute. It's fucking blowing a gale every day.
It has been a bit windy this winter.
It has. Yeah, it always gets windy around this time of the year, apparently. And I don't know why people forget about it, but they do.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pain in the backside, the winter down here in Melbourne this year. So
yeah,
I'm only saying that from someone who's had more viruses than Greeno this year. So, oh boy,
you've been sicker than Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, on a good day.
Yeah,
Your Honour. On that glorious note, I need to go out and get myself some tiger blood.
Yep.
And get winning again.
Winning.
Yeah, we'll wrap this one up and we'll catch you all later on.